All right, we're calling this Coos Bay Board of Directors meeting to order on November 13th. And first, we will do our Pledge of Allegiance right here. Thank you, Kevin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so first up is to approve our agenda for this evening. Do I have a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Adrian. Any discussion or additions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, so next we have to dismiss to our executive session based on ORS 192.660 subsection I to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body or public officer, employer, staff member who does not request an open hearing.
All right.
We will see you back here after we're done, right? They come back here?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Welcome back, people.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, everyone online. We're opening the doors to have our in-person folks join us.
Yeah, I love seeing Les.
Just reminds me of the old days. You and Les.
You have a name now,
Let's
Diane.
I have a name,
Yeah, I know.
somewhere
It's
for my name plaque.
There you are.
Right.
Mallory, how you doing? Mallory, I've got.
Oh, okay. I was
You know Mallory?
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody knows
Doing well, thank you. Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
I have a gift for you.
Yeah, I left that one at the house, another can.
I think I'll make copies.
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah, you guys all went to the conference.
We used to collect them.
I am the only one.
You missed out.
I
Yeah.
know.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I got it was my birthday.
Yeah.
Are you the
Next time we get her.
Okay.
No good.
Oh, gotcha.
Reasonably well, I can see again. All those things.
That's great.
That's right.
That's my girl's one this year. Pretty. The right size. I brought your bronzer board back for you.
I didn't know I got one.
Yeah. Is that what
I don't know how I
My
earned it.
dad loves it.
All right, we're reconvening from executive session. Welcome, everyone. And first up is our consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Thank you, Diane. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Arnie. Is there any discussion or agenda additions? That's what I want to say. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, public input. Do we have anyone down for public input?
We do not.
No public input? All right. Next up is items for information. And we have MHS update. Mallory,
She's down there.
Ed. I like your hair.
Thank you.
You can stay here. or
Yeah,
we
you can stay right there if you want.
So we've had a pretty productive fall season, I would say, for sports. Our cross-country team did really well in league. The boys got third and the girls got fifth. Jackson Stovall got second in league and went to state. While he didn't do so well at the state meet, I saw him, he just started out too fast. He did pretty well for a sophomore. I think he'll do really well in junior year. Girls soccer, we ended with a good season. We had a good win at the last game. While we didn't have the best season, I think we can change and make it a lot better because we had a lot of new players. The boys did really well and they made the playoffs but lost to Estacada. Football had a great upset against Mazama and then another one against LaSalle up in Portland. But sadly, we lost to Seaside in the quarterfinals. It was a close game, 14-7. 6,
Next,
not
6.
7.
You're right.
Volleyball had a great season, but sadly, they lost team championship. It was tough and it was hard for me especially because I really wanted those girls to win. They're really nice and I like them. They're great people. Our cheer stud team got 5th in state, which I think is really interesting. Not many people know about the cheer stud team, and a lot of people don't, especially students, I feel like don't consider it a real sport, which I think is stupid because it's hard sport. I feel like not many people can do that.
agree.
Where sports are starting, which includes basketball, swimming, and wrestling. I believe the first day of tryouts for basketball is tonight. And then we have a lot of clubs and we've started some new ones and we also have some we started late last year. And some of them are Pirates for Christ, which their advisor is Miss Barker, Black Student Union, which is run by Miss Fields, the Latin X Club, which is Mr. Munoz, Pirate Underground with Miss Hampton, the Native Club with Bree Landrum, and the Speech and Debate Knowledgeable in Robotics had their first competitions recently. Choir had a fall concert, which had a great turnout, and they each performed 2 songs each, and they had a great stage transitions, and they did really well. 5 students went to state for Special Olympics. They did really well. I'm happy for them. We had our first earthquake tsunami drill, which was a success. It was well run. And while it's not fun sitting under tables for a long period of time, I feel like it went pretty well. Drama has its first production December 1st. It's called The Wind in the Willows. Sounds pretty interesting. They had a great turnout for their haunted house. They did a good job with that. November 30th, we have an arts assembly which showcases the drama club or theater, choir and band. And we have conferences this Wednesday, which is because of the end of the first quarter. That is all I have.
Do we have any questions or comments?
Good job.
That was great. Thank you for that overview. Appreciate it. All right, next up is our MHS Scholarship Committee presentation. Ms. Engel.
Can I go from here? or-
You can sit in a
maybe-
little chair by
Yeah.
yourself over there.
In the corner.
Okay, well, I don't know whether you've had a chance to look at the slideshow that I believe we sent to everyone. So I thought you all have busy lives. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that slideshow yet, but in case you didn't, it's not very long. And for your benefit, if you didn't get a chance to look at it, and for everybody else's, I'd like to run it by now. And it's on a timed thing, so it's not very long. And if it goes by rather quickly, it's on a timed, each slide is on a timed thing. So if you have questions about it, you can go home and review it at your leisure. And if you have questions, we'll try to answer those at the end. So David, if you're ready. By the way, my name is Les Engel, and I'm a 1962 graduate of Marshfield, for those of you that don't know me. And I'll have a couple of answers for you before you get a chance to, those of you that don't know me. Number 1, no, I don't own the hardware store. Number 2, no, he's not really my grandson. Those are usually things people ask me about. I do the commercials for FARS, and there's a small young man who plays my grandson, but everyone who doesn't know me meets me on the street and wants to know, is that really your grandson?
You guys look so
And I
much
have to
alike.
break the news, and it just breaks their heart that, no, not your grandson. So, okay, are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, it'll, I won't bother to read anything. You can just go ahead and absorb it as it comes. I'm thinking should have put a little music behind it.
especially a music person like you, I would not have expected otherwise.
This is where you can ooh and ah if you want.
That's great.
Okay, there won't be a quiz, but I think that would be fun sometime. One reason we decided to go with a slideshow is because somebody like myself and others in the steering committee who love this program, if you allow me, I will talk all evening if you let me. So we thought this will be a faster way of doing it. And the reason we're here tonight really is to let you know that we're trying to update everything we have. It's come to our attention as we meet regularly, once a month at least, our steering committee. We are of the age where we are starting to look into retirement homes, you know, where they take care of you, bring your meals and that sort of thing. So we understand that we're not going to be around that much longer in terms of the length of this program. So there's a need for somebody to take over and run this thing. So it's been a real joy to work with the selection committee of about 20 members and the steering committee of about 5 to 8 people. And in running this program, so we thought that knowing that this program is going to be seeing new leadership in the next 10, 15 years, we thought the board might want to know exactly how this thing works. We're gonna not just pull back the curtain and give you a glimpse, we're gonna ask you to become a little more involved with nearly 7 million in money at OCF and endowed funds This is a school district program, and it's you people on the board who are in charge of it. So we want you to take some ownership and understand how it works. So with that, let me just read this. First of all, the members, if you didn't catch it on the slide, our steering committee: Cap Sharpless, Jenna Sutherland, Jennifer Bennell, they're back there. Not Jennifer, Floyd Montiel, and he's the youngest person on our committee, so
There he is.
thank you, Floyd.
I'm not quite as young as I used to be.
And you notice that the most recent retiree on our steering committee, Brian Trendle, who is retired, but you notice he isn't here tonight. So we're having a little difficulty recruiting those younger people. So as several steering committee members approach the conclusion of their voluntary service for this program, a collective consideration has been given to succession planning. Regrettably, efforts to identify younger replacements have encountered limited success. Acknowledging the inevitability of transitions, the committee, in collaboration with our associates at the Oregon Community Foundation, recently participated in an online workshop which underscored the pivotal role of good governance in the charitable sector, emphasizing the significance of well-defined policies and effective operational procedures. Having absorbed those insights from the workshop and reviewed recommended best practices and model documents, our steering committee has embarked on a concerted initiative. The objective is to streamline our existing policies and procedures into two distinct documents and an appendix that contains several forms that will serve both our committee and our donors. The current iteration of our bylaws encapsulates some essential policies, yet not comprehensively, and our numerous procedures related to gift receipts and deposits lack a cohesive and organized representation. Our forward-looking vision involves presenting a proposal to the board in the next few weeks that will include three major documents: policies, which will be formatted into our current bylaws, gift receipt/deposit and internal record-keeping procedures, and then an appendix which will include a confidentiality form, scholarship criteria form, and a gift agreement form, and then last but not least, a follow the money flow chart. So that basically says why we're here. We're wanting you to help us man this thing that has grown over almost 40 years from just a few $100s in its beginnings as a scholarship program into what it is today. And so we need your assistance. We need you to understand how it works. And maybe you can go back at your leisure and go over that little slideshow and look at the different scholarships that are available. 72, I think there were, the endowed scholarships. And one of the things that we are asking the board in the next few weeks is to increase our minimum endowment amount to establish an endowment from 12,500 to 25,000. So that will give a payout of $1,000 scholarship rather than 500. Because the number of $500 scholarships that are endowed at the minimum is growing, and it takes a lot of book work and record keeping in order to keep those checks going out to the kids, and just a lot more work than if we were to make the minimum a $25,000 minimum. Cap, Jenna, anything you'd like to add?
Well, I think one thing in advocating for the increase is that when we first started, a $500 scholarship was a significant sum. It really helped. $500 now is not nearly as helpful.
Yeah, when you look at the per year tuition, books and housing, and the $500 scholarship, we'll buy a couple of books maybe. So I'm not kidding. It's that expensive. So, and I wanted to remember to tell you about our scholarship newsletter, which will be coming out in the next week or two. And we will either mail that or put it in each of you have a box at the district office. I don't know whether we mail it to you or put it up there, but when you see that scholarship newsletter, we think it's a pretty darn good one. So, well, they all are. So please check it out. It's got a lot of good information. We do spotlight a Marshfield staff member. We spotlight a Voc Tech recipient. We go back and get a recipient from several years ago to see how they're doing now. And, you know, just a lot of good information that makes you feel real good. And that, by the way, there's one article on reasons to become a scholarship donor. And you be careful reading that, because you might want to check your bank account before you read it, because you'll want to be making a contribution right away, I'm sure. Any questions before we move on? Arnie has a question.
Nope, I have a statement.
Statement, okay.
I have been pushing the group as one of the members to eventually take all of the different things that individual members on this group are doing, mostly less, and making sure that staff at our district office really understand it. They've talked to Maureen a couple different times, but there comes a point at time when I don't think there will be people who can manage all of that. And it's getting to the point where it's as much as it is now, that should be a district responsibility. We also talked that every other scholarship program that I know takes a little bit of that income that comes in and pays people to do things. We take, I think it's $500 a year.
5,000.
Oh, 5,000 to pay for different kinds of things that we have to do, including software and that kind of stuff.
We publish and mail the newsletter,
Right.
get it printed and mail it, and then office expenses, that kind of thing.
But when you think of $5,000 in the context of $7 million, that's not very much money. And I believe that one of the policies that we should be looking at is to come up with an amount for those scholarships that comes back to the district to pay an employee.
Sort of an
In the business
administrative
office.
fee.
An administrative fee, yes. And we've checked, some administrative fees are very high.
Yeah,
But we don't want to get that because we want the money for scholarships.
Right.
But the reality is we do think that there should be an administrative fee that would offset the expense of a district employee to run the program. So it still stays self-supporting. But at some point, there are people on staff who really understand it.
And when you look at our beginnings, when we started, we were all staff at Marshfield High
That's
School.
true.
I was the guidance director, an activity director. Cap was a counselor and eventually the guidance director. Jenna was an administrator. And so now we've got Floyd, who is now an administrator, but now we are kind of in the sunset of our volunteer career. And so we're looking for ways to keep this thing float, you know, keep on building it. It's something that the community is very devoted to. And when it comes to establishing a scholarship in the name of a loved one or a family member or their business, a lot of people interested in doing that. So any other questions?
I just have a statement. You have all been
Thank you
doing
for
this
your help on this.
for so many years. I mean, and it seems like it's just so much work that you've given your hearts to. And so thank you so much for this. I mean, you were all my teachers and principals, and yeah, I knew, but I didn't really know all of this. And so thank you for starting it. Thank you for keeping it going. It means a lot.
to a lot of kids.
to a lot of kids and families. And I know one of the recipients that received $30,000 to go to become an esthetician. So
One of our featured newsletter.
yes, McKenna,
Recipient,
yes,
yeah.
yes. I mean, it's just amazing and it does so much. So thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.
Unless if you'd like, I'd be happy to mail. If you want to drop the newsletters off with me, I can get them mailed to the board, or I can get you addresses, whatever works best.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Floyd,
Thank
it
you.
looks like it's gonna be you running the show. So you better get some.
busy right now. But, hopefully I can get some
That's the
other.
comment we get a lot.
Floyd knows.
What are you doing these days?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, there you go.
I know.
Floyd knows spreadsheets really well.
Good.
I like less.
I'll be glad to sit and work with you.
He just forgot everything he knew about spreadsheets.
Okay, next up on our agenda is CBA business, and Jeremy, you're up.
So this general area right here is where I can stand.
Sure.
Alrighty. I wrote it all out so I won't ramble so much. Okay.
Hi.
Good evening. I'm happy to be here tonight on behalf of CBEA's members to report a little bit about what's been happening over the past couple of months. First of all, as Mallory mentioned, we did make it through our first quarter. We had a good grading day last week. Tracy Cates, one of our building reps, put together treat baskets that are delivered to all the different sites. We put them in the staff break room and tell people, hey, there's treats here, blah, blah, blah. They kind of gave everybody a pick-me-up as they tried to get their grades done on Thursday. The South Coast Education Council hosted a dinner at the Mill Casino last month for all the new hires over the past few years. It was a superb dinner. Christina Geierman from North Bend hosted. Our newer members got a lot of valuable information and then had a tasty dinner to go along with it. So it was a good time. At the high school and junior high, we've been working hard to get Avid implemented in our classrooms and school-wide. A group of us traveled to Grants Pass a couple weeks ago. We saw some really amazing things there that we're excited to bring to Coos Bay classrooms. Our site team met last Thursday and we have some plans for the rest of the school year, but we're already thinking about next year and how we can just kind of keep this train a-rolling and stuff like that. On a less positive note, CBA members are already experiencing some problems in the classroom, leading to feelings of burnout, exhaustion, and uncertainty. It feels a little too early in the school year for those feelings. Some teachers are already leaving or like talking about leaving. A lot of it can be traced back to isolated behavior problems in the classrooms, along with understaffing, sub shortages, which just kind of leads to a sense that some of our students aren't being supported as well as possible. And that's genuinely our primary concern. Like no one's complaining about these things out of a sense of self. It's more about like making sure the students are as supported as possible. Our members want to educate and inspire the students, but it becomes difficult when they feel so much is like hanging on their shoulders all the time. We've appealed to our administrators and leadership about the concerns, but I also felt like it was serious enough at this point that I wanted to kind of bring it to your all's attention as well. We know that everybody here wants what's best for our students, but we also want to make sure that we're engaged in a collaborative effort to do so with honest discussions about the supports and resources that will make that possible. Until you've spent some time in a classroom and observe what they're experiencing, it's really hard to understand what these educators need and like their daily life in the classroom. So I just hope that we can kind of continue to be open and honest in our communication so we can stay on a common mission to serve those students and get them the supports that they need.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, Jeremy? Anybody online? Nope. Thank you so much. All right, up next, Bree. Where's Bree? Oh, there you are.
I don't want to
OCA
go after Jeremy.
business. You always do great.
I do not have any updates per se, but I do have how I've talked about at our last meetings about doing member spotlights, since a lot of times you guys don't get to see the classified members that are a part of our unit that are out in our schools. And so this month, our classified spotlight is for Angie, who's an educational assistant at Marshall Junior High. She is just a face that whenever you see her, she's always smiling and welcoming, not only to staff and students, but to community members as well. And she's also an active part of being involved in our union and coming into our monthly union meetings. And so I just wanted to take a moment to recognize her. And so you guys can meet Angie from her picture. And I do not have any big updates coming from the union per se, There has been some things that have been developed in new hiring and stuff, but I know that Dr. Karis is going to be addressing that, so I'm not gonna steal that from her highlight and her agenda. So if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns about my general lack of presentation. that's
No,
all.
I love it. This is great. And
Better than Jeremy. Jeremy didn't have a whole slide.
I know.
I'll do better next time.
It's a sheet, it's a template, and I can just plug in a picture each month, so that's.
I know,
yeah,
here's our
yeah.
hot spotlight on a teacher. Or a nurse. No, this is great.
That was great.
You're right. It's sometimes those folks that are behind the scenes or not like in the spotlight that we don't get to acknowledge and see very much. So this is really, really nice.
And
Thank you for
I
that.
think that, classified plays such an important role,
Absolutely.
especially how Jeremy was bringing up behaviors and stuff. Classified really are there to support our teachers, and many times we are the ones that are dealing with those students when they cannot be successful in the classroom. And I think it's really important to just recognize that these people work super hard in our buildings and they're here for the students, not the pay. And that just kind of bringing attention to the individual faces and not the job titles, I think is super important in our district and in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay, Angie. All right, our featured school, Mellicoma or glaucoma.
Yeah.
Gary Roberts.
Glaucoma.
You know, he said that that's what they call.
Yeah, that's one of the names that we've been called.
Love it. Glaucoma.
Mill-adult glaucoma is the latest one.
That's
Welcome, everyone. I couldn't help but think as I was in the crowd that if a 17-year-old Gary Roberts could tell the 45-year-old Gary Roberts that he'd be doing a board presentation in front of Mr. Roblin and Mr. Engel, you would probably think he's a little crazy. But I also couldn't help but think Mr. Engel and Mr. Roblin, if they could go back and see 17-year-old Gary, would never think he would be standing up here giving
had a
any
conversation.
kind of presentation to the board.
No, we had a conversation about that at the time. We thought you would be here.
I appreciate your
They
faith in me.
had money on it.
Well, if it helps, which it doesn't, I can't solve any of the equations that are in my title slide. But I want to talk today a little bit about, David, you can just go to the next slide. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
I want to talk a little bit about a couple things and then just show you some pictures to talk, I always kind of show you guys what we're doing for student enrichment. I want to start with talking about attendance. Our attendance is improving. If you look at last year to this year and compare September and October, I mean, we're up about 2% at each grade level. I don't have comparisons. This is comparing cohorts. So looking at fourth grade, we're up 2% if you look at this same group as last year when they were third graders and so on and so forth. So I don't have a cohort total for when these kids were second graders over at Eastside. But we are seeing some improvements. And some of the things that we have done is we're doing weekly positive attendance drawings for students. We're doing daily celebrations. So if the class has perfect attendance, they will hang this sign out outside their door. Mr. Guthrie, the assistant principal, and I will walk around. We try to do it, every other day. It's hard to do it every day, but we walk around and if we see the sign up, we'll go in and we'll give each kid a little Jolly Rancher, a little nickel Jolly Rancher candy, tell them thanks for being here, how much we appreciate it. We've found that it's helped. Like we've had a couple of times where, a bus has been late and a kid walks in at like 8:15 and that's the last kiddo to get him to perfect attendance. And the teacher will text and say, you have to come today. The celebration was huge when the last kid walked in. So that's something that we've tried to do, just to do anything we can to bring a focus to our kids about how important attendance is and offer them a little reward if all of their class is there for the day. Today we had 3 6th grade classes, 3 of our 5 homerooms had perfect attendance for 6th grade, which is great. We do monthly winners for individual classes. And then we also do each grade level, the class with the best attendance gets a extra 5 minutes of recess or gets I think one month we did a popcorn party for them. Next month, we're going to shift our focus and start focusing on the classes with the most improved attendance and the kiddos with the most improved attendance when we get into December. We have noticed 2 of our 4 grade levels, they've been repeat winners for the best attendance. And so now we're thinking we shift our focus a little bit on improvement and try to get some of our kiddos that are kind of like Casey talked about, that group that was in that 89 to like 70 to 89%, and trying to really focus on those kids to get them to that 90% threshold that we want for attendance. So that's where we think we're heading as we get into December and January, is to look at that group of kids and how we can improve their attendance.
When your kids are out, why are they out?
I mean, obviously, we've had to re-educate families a little bit on ill versus not feeling well. Like, is a kid sick or is a kiddo have the sniffles? And we've had to do a little bit of that. We traditionally in Coos Bay, as a lot of smaller communities, see an influx of families that go on vacations, especially around hunting season. They'll leave for a week and take their kids elk hunting, deer hunting. So we see that quite a bit. We've noticed that in the last couple of weeks specifically. And so those are kind of some things we see. At the elementary level, a lot of attendance is dependent on their parents.
Yeah.
If their parent will get them up, get them ready, get them to school. And so we've tried to send out a lot of information. I've been sending out this data to families every month on the class with the best attendance, why it's important, and things like that, to try to promote those things. And I think it's paying off for us. We were at 66% regular attenders last year. That was up from 51% the year before. Our goal for the year is to get into the mid 70s. Traditionally, prior to COVID, Millicoma was in the low to mid 80s, right around 83 to 86% of our students were regular attenders. Questions on the attendance piece? All right, David, can we go to the next slide? Hopefully you guys will be able to see this one perhaps.
I clicked it.
Oh.
Done.
Well, the next slide, if you can see it, it's amazing. It's a lot of colors. The next slide, there we go. So
Probably gonna
this
go to-
slide, Kim came in following the data night and watched some of our interventions, which you guys are all more than welcome to come in and watch. I don't want to speak for Kim, but I think she found it enlightening, and it
Loved
was,
it.
yeah. And so she came in and watched our progress monitoring. And I wanted to show you a little bit about kind of what the day is like for a Millicoma kiddo. Really focus, please, more on 3rd, 4th, and 5th. 6th grade is where we start to do more rotating classes, and the kids go to more departmentalized classes. So we one teacher teaches all 5 class periods of math, so to speak. The brownish tannish colors is our core amplify time. It is split for 3rd grade because they have 120 minutes, so they split it up so it's not a solid 120 minutes. We have our recess 15-minute times built in. Our math times are yellow. Our specials, so library, music, PE. When we had a counselor, our counselor would go in. Our CELI teacher came in a little bit to classrooms and did some presentations. We also put some Character Strong, some of our social emotional learning components in there, and some social studies and science. So if a kiddo doesn't go to math, they might go to music or library, or they might have something in their classroom like the social emotional component, science, or social studies. The red times are our 30-minute intervention blocks for reading, and the green is our 30-minute intervention blocks for math. And that is when Kim came in. She came in and watched the 30-minute she didn't watch the whole 30, but she came in for a 30-minute intervention block, watched some of our progress monitoring for our students, saw how we do our progress monitoring, and then I showed her kind of how we use the data and what the data tells us. Our kids in our building in this 30-minute intervention period, they are grouped together using our diagnostic tools by skill need or skill deficiency, and then we teach directly towards those skill gaps that we need to fill. We have a lot of kids that we need interventions for right now. And then our students that are most striving learners, our title students and our special education students, they also get pulled out in these purple times for an additional 15 to 20 minutes of like intensive interventions. And so they're getting a double dose every day. They're really getting a triple dose if you think they're getting core and intervention, and then they're getting an additional chunk of support. And one of the reasons why I wanted to show you this is last year for our title supports, our title teacher is Katie Banks. She's fantastic. She's been in the district a long time. Her husband was coaching junior high basketball when I was in junior high. last year, we had too many students that needed supports to fit in her day. We couldn't, she tries to keep those groups at either 1, 2, or 3 at the most. We had more students than we had slots in the day. This year, we still have a lot of striving learners, but we have solved those problems with her about the amount of slots in the day. But the new problem that we're having is the students that she's seeing are making enough growth that we're exiting them out of title, and they're just going back to regular interventions and core. And we're trying to figure out the best way of doing that, which is a great problem to have. We didn't have that problem last year. Last year, we couldn't figure out enough time slots for kids, and now we're trying to figure out how we slowly work them out of title supports. Do we do one more data cycle with them in a different area? Because they've mastered the area that they came into Title IV. So I wanted to update you on that because it shows two things. One, it shows that the work that our K2 schools have done to really set the tone for our intervention systems are paying off, because our students that may still be behind are catching it quicker and moving through the intervention cycles at a more rapid pace. And it shows that at the 3-6 level, we're also catching kids up. Some of our kids that were behind from COVID or just behind because they have different gaps in their learning, we're catching those students up as well. So they're really good signs that we're seeing in terms of reading and what we're doing. And I wanted to show you kind of the day of what it's like, what our interventions are like in terms of those 30-minute blocks, and then those additional supports that we're given to students. Any questions on that piece? I know I kind of went through it really fast, but I don't want to, take up too much time. All right, now for the fun stuff. So I wanted to show, I always kind of show you some enrichment pictures. Our students have done their swimming lessons for the fall. It didn't snow on them as it did last year when we did them in the spring, but they were rained on pretty consistently. Not sixth grade. They made it through in the nice sunny end of September, and then the rains came. We have adjusted nicely to having a smaller gym and our students being on the floor for our positive behavior assemblies we do every month. And we recognize our students at our positive behavior assemblies for, like I talked about, attendance. We have positive behavior drawings. We have an award every month that's around our Character Strong themes called Pizza with the Principal. So each teacher will select 2 students. They'll have pizza with me, and then they're recognized at the assembly the next day. That is one of our Pizza with the Principal recipients getting her certificate. These are the kiddos eating pizza with me the day before the assembly. Our 5th grade team in Miss Gamble's class organized a fundraiser, a penny war, to support one of the local animal shelters. We were able to raise $1,500 in about 7 days for one of the local animal shelters. It was it was really great for our kids. They got really into it. And besides my daughter trying to basically steal money from me every morning, it was a lot of fun for our kids, for our staff. And so that was something I thought I would put in there as our penny wars. Our 5th grade kids went out to the hatchery as they do every year. Mrs. Wilson organized it, our secretary, organizes a trip out to the hatchery. They do some clipping and they do some stuff with the salmon. It's always great. We have some kids who sometimes during the academic day have their struggles in terms of some of their behaviors, and a lot of it is the sitting in class, their movement, they like using their hands. You get them out there in the hatchery and they are awesome and they love it, and they dig in there and they're in waders or whatever they got going on, and they just have a great time. And so it's super fun for our kids. They love it. And it's great for us as a building. The delay is really the awkward
Just
silence.
It builds excitement.
It does.
Anticipation.
Like 3 times. No.
What's the next screen gonna be?
I don't know. I'm
I hope it's ice cream.
clicking. I can hear you. You're working hard, Nathan.
Click it away.
Well,
As
okay.
soon as you're ready to go on, that's when it
Yes.
comes up.
So, it's really interesting. The staff here has actually really loved being in Blossom Gulch this year. There are problems, obviously, sinking building, and smallish gym compared to Millicoma, but it's a really kind of a neat layout with kind of the horseshoe. The playground's great. And the courtyard was so utilized during the fall when the weather was beautiful. We did reading groups out here. This is a 4th grade group that was doing flashcards for math out here. And it was just a beautiful day. And I got a picture from the window of them. We had our Fire Prevention Week assembly, including the annual fire relay race that they do. They used to have a race where the kids put on the fire gear, but they won't let us do that anymore because the fire gear has chemicals possibly on it. And so we don't do that drill that anymore. We had a Halloween dance a couple weeks ago for our 6th graders.
No
Our
one
6th graders
ever got
get
sick.
Our 6th graders get 4 dances throughout the year. They get one at Halloween, one around the holidays, one around St. Patrick's Day, and then at the end of the year dance. And so the first dance, and these 3 kiddos here, Lucy, Kendall, and Glenn, I put their picture because they did a fundraiser for what they called Pause for a Cause, and they made these little bracelets and sold them at the dance to their fellow students. And so I wanted to put them in there and recognize them because I thought it was great that they made all these and did all this stuff to support, again, another local animal shelter. And then we did our Goodies with Grownups 2 weeks ago. We did Goodies with Grownups in the cafeteria. The 3rd and 4th grade families came in on one morning, 5th, 6th, and siblings. If you had a kiddo like that was in 3rd, 4th, or 5th, 6th, you could just come one day and not have to come both. We give out pastries, donuts. Families come in for breakfast. We had a full cafeteria both mornings. I would say I bought 900 pastries between the 2 days. And I would say we probably had a total of 350 to 400 families that came in out of our 450 students. And we had some parents that came both days. It was great. It was a really good event for us. And lastly, oh, look at that. One click and went right over. Couple things. This is from our Mustang Madness that we do. These kids are playing bingo. Mustang Madness is a positive behavior treat that we do about once every 6 weeks. We have dodgeball in the gym. We have board games going. We have a karaoke machine down in Mr. Hires' room. We have dance things going on, and the kids can go wherever they want for 45 minutes. We also had an evening one that we did last month that was sponsored by the MHS charity pageant. Kids came in and did it. We charged a cover charge to come in at the door, but all the money went to the charity program. It's a fun time for kids. I think the parents really enjoyed the evening one because it was 2 hours. They could go have a date night and go to dinner. The last couple pictures that I wanted to show, that's a swim one on the right. This was our Veterans Day assembly that we did Wednesday, excuse me. We did last Wednesday. We had a huge packed gym. We had probably, Kevin, we probably had 50 veterans attend.
At least, yeah.
I had a gentleman from the local vets organization that is kind of in charge of kind of all the area veteran groups come and give me his business card at the end and tell me how much he appreciated the work of our staff and how much he enjoyed listening to students sing the patriotic songs and all that great stuff. So it was a really good event. Kevin was able to attend. Mm-hmm. Eli came over from the high school. And then lastly, these were our students that we lined up to celebrate the volleyball team leaving for state. Thank goodness the rain held off when we did that. And the team drove by with, the kids got as much kick out of the fire trucks and the school buses as they did, they enjoyed that. So it was well worth it. But we lined up out there, we cheered them on as they drove by. Our classes were out there. It was kind of a great way. And I think from what I heard, the girls really appreciated and really got a kick out of it too. So I wanted to add that in there because I think it's great it's been awesome to show, it shows our kids looking forward to being Pirates one day and watching these girls drive by heading to go do something they've been working for most of their young lives. And these kids, that's who they want to be one day. So I thought it was a really great deal. And the one thing I did forget that I wanted to mention, we started 6th grade band this year in choir. First year we've done it. 6th grade band is up in the high 30s for student participation for just our 6th graders. And our choir is getting close to 20. So we're really working hard to try to help Mr. Cruz and Mr. Aker get their numbers up. So as these kids go to junior high, they have an interest, because if they have something they're interested in also, they're going to do better academically and they're going to be more successful. I've always said, the best interventions that we have for students after elementary is activities and extracurriculars. So that's it. Any questions?
I just want to say that was the most insightful piece for me, was actually getting in there. And, I'm a type of learner that needs both feet in and to come actually see things in action. And for you to take the time to let me witness that, and with, I got to see a couple students going through, one was the nonsense words.
Yes.
And to be able to see that and how it all correlated together. And then we sat down, we went through all of it on, I don't want to take up your time,
No.
but
It was,
if you guys have the opportunity to go see that, I mean, we're just gonna bombard you.
Yeah.
I would say it was so valuable. And one of the things you guys talk about is we don't know what's happening in classrooms, in regards to behaviors, but also, what's happening hands-on with the learning, unless it's particularly our child's classroom. It's very eye-opening to get out there and actually see that. Thank you so much for taking the time to allow me to do that. It was a lot better learning opportunity for me than the night before with the slides.
sure.
You saw the look on my face,
Yeah.
like, what? So it
Well, and
meant a lot.
I appreciate you coming in, because not only did you watch that piece, we went back and I showed you how the
Yes.
data goes into the system,
Absolutely.
and then how
I
we
was like-
use it to help the kids. And I also showed, we were also able to talk about how families could use it through the Home
Yes.
Connect piece,
And it was,
and the things that parents can do and families at home to support their learners. So yeah, anytime, you guys are always welcome to come down to Blockhoma and see what we're doing. So
it's great, yeah.
And one thing I heard, you're working for Eli now?
I'm working for Eli. I'm.
Eli's like, yes.
Yeah,
Is that-
Eli's dream come true, gets to boss me around. I've taken on the head wrestling coaching position at the high school for 1 year. It's a 1 year gig. They needed somebody to step up and help, and so I'm gonna do that.
Was 1 year in writing or?
It was for my wife, so, but yeah, no, I'm gonna do that for the year. It'll be fun. We had our first kind of team gathering today just to get to know each other a little bit, and then, I'm just taking a couple classes too, so it's gonna be interesting. It's interesting winter.
I just want to say thank you for that, because
Yes.
those are all, when things happen and it happens, it's important to find somebody. And we've got 2 teams now, right? Because we got
Yep.
a women's team and a men's team.
Yep, we have a boys and girls team, and we've got a lot of kids out, and I mean, that's what we do here. When we have something that's
Yeah.
needed, we step up and we take care of it, and I think that's part of our jobs as educators, and part of my job as an admin, and as a former Marshfield wrestler, I mean, you gotta have a soft spot for that, and when they said they needed help.
Where's the wrestling room?
It's the old boys locker room, and then we're building a girls mat room,
Okay.
wrestling room, and that's gonna be in the West Gym, where there used to be a classroom and a training room right there.
Okay.
And that's in the middle of being constructed, so, and it seems like a good group of kids. We're gonna have fun, so.
Well, it looks like you've grown up to be a great administrator and gentleman, because I did talk to my husband, who was also your teacher. I said, hey, do you remember Gary Roberts? He's like, oh, yeah.
He was probably surprised too that I'm presenting at a board meeting.
I said, well, he's like, yeah, he's done well. And he said, we're a bit squirrely.
I will take squirrely
You
as
will
a
take
compliment.
that, that's right.
So, all right, well, thank you guys. What's
Thank
that?
you.
showed up.
That's right. I was there every day.
Yes.
That's right.
So, all right, thank you guys.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay, announce science adoption, Chad.
Good evening. I actually have 2 items for you on the math adoption and the science
Oh, okay.
adoption update. Even though one of those is an action item for later, if that's all right, if I go both at the
Yep.
same time. Yeah. Our math adoption, we're postponing it 1 year, and it's a procedural thing that I need to announce that to you. And then it's an action item for you to vote on that we're delaying. What happened with that was Amplify was such a huge endeavor
that the teachers asked, could we stretch this out over 2 years? And so that's how it's playing out. The other thing that influences this is adoptions currently. They're way more than it used to be, where there's a teacher edition and a textbook and maybe a bag of extra resources for the teacher. It has online components, assessment components, online learning components, grading components. There's just so much more. It's way more complex than it used to be. And so it just takes longer to go through that. I'm waiting for the time that ODE sees that and then stretches out the adoption cycle instead of one new thing every year. They probably need to slow down a little bit, especially with math and ELA. It's just a huge endeavor. So you'll be voting to affirm that we can stretch that out one more year. I expect that we're in the middle of piloting one of two that the teachers asked to pilot at the K-6 level. And then we'll pilot another one starting in about January, and we should be able to make a decision in the springtime and then bring that to the budget committee to fund. And the high school at the secondary level, Jeremy was telling me tonight, that they've pretty much decided. I haven't checked in on them for a few weeks here about the math adoption. It's a little bit easier because they're just math teachers for the most part. It's a little bit easier for them to decide. And they have a little bit more talking to do, especially with Marshall Junior High. I think they've almost came to their conclusion. And that includes destinations too, as a part of that decision-making process. Let's see here. Science adoption. 2 weeks ago, ODE gave us the list, and we had our first meeting with ODE to look over what's on the approved list for adoption. And we'll get started on that as soon as possible. And it's a little bit, again, complex because there's more materials than in the past, and we're still getting the hang of Amplify to a certain extent. We're looking at adding another component to Amplify that would match some of the stuff that Gary was talking about during the intervention. We're trying to save teachers time because during that intervention, they have to create more materials. And if we can make it easier for them because they're the different preps, all those different time slots, and also the data gathering. So we're looking at adding another component that will help with that. So we'll start the science adoption process as soon as possible, but again, it's somewhat delayed by the math because a lot of the same people that volunteer for those committees are the same people that volunteered for the math. And it's so much for them to work through right now. It will take some time. So it's possible that they'll want to delay the science one year. Questions for me? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, our next up is the SIA update with you and Marina, so.
Yes, and I was able to find last year's annual report, and we're in the same biennium, so the win to that is the exact same activities and intention for the funding. So I just had to update numbers for you.
They ask us to update this report every year and report back, and we report back four times over the course of the year on the integrated guidance plan, which is high school success, SIA. It's all of these different funds, the EIIS, and they've placed all those together, which you saw, and I presented last 2 years to you on these items. And we revised the budget, so we made a few. Marina and I have sat down and brought it up on the big screen. And it's based on estimates to a certain extent because ODE tells you how much money you're really getting a year later almost.
Yep.
And then we also had each one of these items where we're budgeting a little bit because we don't know who we're going to actually hire for some of these and where they're placed on the pay scale. But by this point, we know. So we sat down and we worked through a lot of the numbers again and made a few adjustments.
Yeah, and this is last year's annual report. So this is what we're submitting at the end of November. We have to present to the board and then to submit minutes that we did present to you. And so this is the same activities that we have planned for 23-24 that we've been doing for the last few years. And so, can we turn that in at all? My eyes are bad, but.
I can, but you're gonna lose columns.
Okay, that's okay, as long as we can see the column D or 4. Perfect. So they're essentially the same expenses we've had the last couple of years. We take indirect up to 5%. We have 3 counselors from grades 3 to 8, 2 behavior resource SEL teachers in K through 6, 5 behavior resource specialists for classified K through 6. We have 3 assistant principals K through 6. And then we also have Who's Health and Wellness that we contract out for some behavioral therapy, I believe, is what that was. And then in the next set, we have classified K6 EAs. So these are educational assistants in the classrooms. We have K2, we have an instructional coach, it's just one. We purchased some educational software and hardware. Those were just Chromebooks that we replace every year. We replace a portion. And then can you scroll down for me? And we have some electives at the high school. It's drama. That's the only one that's coded to SIA. And then we have some PE assistants in lower grades. And then we give a portion to ResourceLink. They fund a 0.5 math FTE. And then we have a state portion that we have to send out to Lighthouse. And that last year was our 22-23 SIA allocation, 2.5 million. And it is now up to 3 million for the 23-24 budget.
Great. Any questions?
So how close does our estimate come to what we actually get? How close have we been?
This year, well, our estimate is pretty good
Okay.
based on ODE's estimate.
I
But
know,
ODE's budget, back when we created the budget document for 23-24, was about $400,000 off. They gave us an additional allocation of about 400,000. And some of that's resource, some of that is Lighthouse, but they were pretty off on their allocation this year. And that's all based on the corporate activity tax. So it's really hard for them to gauge until
That's true.
DOJ approves a grant agreement. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
My slide was not as exciting as Gary's. Also not as informative. So next is me. Yep, I had enrollment. So good news, we're up 12 students from the beginning of the school year in September, and we're up 54 from the end of last school year. So we're moving on up. I did not get this in an Excel beautiful slide, but I do have a bar graph that I can send out to everyone. We're pretty average. For the last, since 2015, I monitor what we presented to the board. And there were 2 big years, 18-19 and 19-20. But since then, we've stayed relatively consistent. I can send these out if anybody would like.
Is that enrollment?
Yes, this is November's enrollment annually. Just, this is how my brain works. I want to see it over time. But no huge increases to enrollment. It's staying pretty consistent, which has been par for the course in November. It looks like we usually slowly increase until Christmas break, and then we stay pretty stagnant until about spring break. And then we drop. I'm not sure what happens in spring break, but that seems to be our trend. Hopefully not this year.
That would be nice.
Hopefully not. And then we have my financial packets, which are not on the screen either, but you guys have them in front of you.
Yep.
So again, there's nothing jumping out of the page. We have no negative projected unfavorable variances from the budget. We're pretty spot on. Again, I think I've said this every board meeting, we'll have to do a supplemental budget because of the increased state school fund and because of these increased grants like SIA and Measure 98. We will have to do a supplemental budget come February, probably January. I'm hoping for January. That way we can spend out the excess money that we have in our budget because we have to pay out Lighthouse their portion, and that will go over our expenses that are budgeted for. And so we will be seeing a supplemental budget, and you'll see increased budget in this, but our forecast should stay the same in terms of actuals. We're projecting pretty consistent actuals because our people are already in iVisions. So we're not expecting any large expenses beyond this. So general fund looks pretty good. We should see a favorable ending fund balance. We're hoping for about 500,000 above what we're projecting in the budget. Special revenues, special revenues is pretty contentious in that it's all grant funded. So depending on our grant allocations, we could be favorable or unfavorable, but we spend what we get in grants. We don't go over our budget because it's all grant funds. Debt service, we don't spend anything out until December and June, but it looks great. It's all budgeted appropriately. And capital projects, it's showing on this last column, unfavorable projected balance of $3 million. That's inaccurate. That's because the last couple of years we've had these long ongoing construction projects all year long, and we do a ton of expenses at the end of the year. We won't have that this year because Nellicoma is expected to be done much sooner than that. And so we will not be continuing to spend throughout the rest of the year, and they're not projected to be unfavorable. So all looks good in the financial front.
That's what we like to hear.
Yes. And
Yeah.
we did submit our information to the auditors today. So just so you know, they have it. It's off my hands.
And you feel good about it?
No, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you keep looking, you can keep
Yes.
playing. And so at some point I had to just say, here you go, you can have it. It's good. So we are doing well.
So on the other, when they send the group back to double check all your stuff, right, at some point?
Yes.
When do you expect them to be visiting?
Hopefully early of December. They
Okay.
don't do that a ton anymore. It's now
Oh.
just Laura Fisher, our auditor,
Okay.
and one other person. This is their last year auditing. It's Laura's last year. She's retiring once she's done with our audit. And so she doesn't want to be in our office more than she needs to be. So she'll only be there for about a morning
Okay,
just to come do the last minute things and touch base with me. But
okay,
it's been virtual the last couple of weeks.
okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
All right. You're up, Kara, superintendent's update.
Good evening, everyone. I was going to talk about the amazing fall athletics, but Mallory did such an amazing job. I just like to make two comments. First, that Mazama football game was one of the greatest high school football games I've ever watched. It was amazing. And the loss in the finals of the volleyball game was one of the most heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. Anyway, it was so sad. But the kids are amazing. And I think all of our teams finished strong. So I'm sure all the other 4A high schools are nervous about our fall sports for next year because we finished strong. So it was really exciting. I just got back from 2 conferences. First, I went to an AVID conference, and we really went deep on, it was for supervisors or principals, like how to support instructional leadership for principals. And it was really high quality. It was one of the best professional developments I've gone to. So I really enjoyed that, and I look forward to sharing with the principals. And then also I went with 4 of you to OSBA. And I enjoyed getting to spend time with you. I really enjoyed the 2 keynotes they had this year. And I think the first keynote, Doc Brown, really had the theme about how we can't judge students by their appearance. And he also had this great kind of slogan that fits exactly with AVID, and I hadn't heard it before, about how our purpose is working towards the 3 E's for our students when they leave high school: enrolled, enlisted, or employed. So let's talk about the 3 E's: enrolled, enlisted, or employed. So, and then Dr. Sarita Maven gave her talk on how to improve positive communication, which I thought was really helpful. And I wish I would have gotten you each a little cheat postcard. She had her top 10 positive communication phrases. So maybe I'll have David photocopy them and share with you, because it's a nice little cheat sheet on when we're all in difficult conversations and like kind of really positive phrases around communication. So I just really enjoyed that. So updates. This week is ODE Visit Week. That's the big thing on the radar for us. On Wednesday, there's a virtual meeting with ODE to respond to their questions about Title 1A and Title 4 that they have for the monitoring they've been doing in those. That's virtual. And then Thursday and Friday, the SPED IDEA monitoring team for our financial issues will be here. So I know Marina is going to be extremely busy with Jenny and Lisa. We'll be discussing the maintenance of effort issue. Marina and Jenny have come up with a plan to hopefully that the ODE will approve around reducing, so we can maximize our exemptions, so we won't have to, return as much money for maintenance of effort. So we'll hopefully know more at the next board meeting. And again, that might be part of the supplemental budget that we're talking about bringing forward in January, February too, is the need to pay the maintenance of effort, which was not in our budget that was approved. So, and then also on Thursday, at the same time, the IDEA team is here. ODE's leadership is coming down, their new leadership, their cabinet is coming down, and the new head of ODE, Dr. Charlene Williams, reached out and would like to visit one of our schools. So we're going to meet Miss Kara Davidson and I are going to host them at Eastside on Thursday morning, and then they're meeting with the superintendents at the South Coast ESD, and then they're going to North Bend High School. So they're kind of getting the range, the littles to the bigs, but I'm really excited for us to show off our beautiful new Eastside and the great instruction and what's going on and our amazing students and staff. So there's a lot. So it's ODE week here at Coos Bay. And then another thing I wanted to share, I think this is what Bree was alluding to, but as you've been hearing, like when the principals came at the data meeting and as the union president spoke about today, what we're seeing this year is really escalated behavior from our students, and it's extremely disruptive, and we have a lot of lost learning, and we have adults getting hurt. It's just, again, heartbreaking. And it's really a crisis. We're not where we want to be at this time of year in terms of student behavior. So I know the elementary principals have been working with Chad to come up with kind of an emergency plan, and then we'll be looking at our long-term plan, which is part of the strategic plan goal 1. So that's the longer term work, but for emergency work, we met today, and Marina might have an update, but we met this morning and talked about it. And the idea is immediately, because particularly at the primary levels, we have some kinders who weren't necessarily school ready, who have come and are being ready, to be successful in school. It's really disrupting the learning in the primary. So we're looking at adding EAs, emergency wise right now, immediately. So you'll see postings for that. And then we're hoping the larger SEL behavior work group will look at our plans for next year around what a deep dive we want to do in terms of restructuring professional development, like what program, what models we want to use moving forward. But so this is the short-term fix. And then next year we'll have the longer term, be able to implement a longer term plan. So Marina, I know you and Chad met to talk about the finances this afternoon, so.
We did meet, we have posted those 4 positions. It'll be 2 at Madison and 2 at Eastside. We are hoping to get those filled as soon as possible, right? As soon as possible?
Are they
Yes.
both full-time positions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, 0.821, like our EAs are. Yeah.
Okay. So that is moving forward, and hopefully will help in the schools.
And then my next update was going to be facilities, but I don't want to steal our facility chair's thunder.
You could
He has
take
an
it and I'll go off what you don't do.
Just
Yeah.
quick, I mean, I think
Yeah.
we need to celebrate and knock on wood that Millicoma so far is on time, under budget. I mean, like, knock on wood, it's looking good. I'm so really pleased. They have approached us about doing some additional work. And so we'll be talking about that at the facilities committee meeting. But what they've requested so far for additional projects at Millicoma all comes well within the contingency fund we have for the builder. So it wouldn't be additional funds from us. We've built in some for the contractor and it would be paid for out of that. So, Brian Bergstedt has done an amazing job, our head of facilities, continuing to pursue that SMART grant. We're getting to the completion. If we get that, that would be funding for new HVAC systems at the high school and at Sunset, in the main building at the high school and Sunset. So that's a substantial amount of money we're looking at. So we have a meeting this week with the grant writers to get more information from us. And fingers crossed, we're one of 4 school districts in Oregon that were selected to even apply to get this support. And fingers crossed, because that would be huge if we could get that funding that we weren't anticipating for that important work. And we're continuing with the long-range strategic planning. They've completed the needs assessment. A draft of the needs assessment will be going over it, reviewing at the facilities committee tomorrow, and then hopefully bringing it to the board to update you on the findings at the December board meeting. We need to finalize the long-range steering committee's membership tomorrow. And if anybody has any last-minute recommendations, and I know we have the admin team here, if we have staff and student recommendations to participate, you might grab them, David, while they're here. We're hoping to get that launched. They've already scheduled the consultant that's doing the community engagement listening sessions for the steering committee. They've already, I think the principals have signed up for a date and time slot for their school, so they'll be virtual. And we'll get you that schedule if you all want to participate in any of those listening sessions. So those are coming up. So those are, I hope I didn't steal too much of your thunder there.
No, you did good.
I'll stop now.
No, I'm like, check.
I know
And
Kevin
then-
really likes to speak, so.
Yeah, so there again, there's lots of national recognitions. There are so many that it would take all night to go through them all, but just some highlights. It's Diabetes Awareness Month, which thank you to our school staff that supports our increase, unfortunately, in juvenile diabetes. It's, not only our nurses, but our office staff. A lot of people are supporting our students. So thank you for our staff that do that. It's National Adoption Month. It is National Family Literacy Month. It's Military Family Awareness Month, which we have like the Coast Guard here in town. So just a shout out for our military families. And the big focus, this is Native American Heritage Month. And the theme this year is celebrating tribal sovereignty and identity. And we are very lucky here in Coos Bay. One of our strongest assets is the partnerships with our tribes that are located here. In particular, since I've been here, we've worked very closely with the Coquel and the Confederated Tribes. We're just lucky to have them, and they're so willing to partner and sharing our goal of success for our Native students. So lucky. And it's also National Homeless Youth Awareness Month. And if we have time, when the head of ODE is here on Thursday, she doesn't have much time, but I'd love to show them art because I'm so proud of what we do here in this district to support our students experiencing houselessness. And then finally, last week was National School Psychology Week. We are at a time where the expertise of school psychs have never been higher the needs for them have never been higher in our schools. And we have a severe shortage. We've been posting for a long time, haven't been able to hire. So how can we grow our own, some more school psychologists to come down the pipeline, because our students, it's absolutely critical support that we offer, and we have a severe shortage nationwide, and it's an incredible career pathway. So we've got to really figure out how we can get more, because they are so important, and so thankful for the one we have, but we need more. So that is my update for the month. Any questions?
I just want to say that I love Eastside. It's a beautiful school, and I don't want to put any more on Carly's plate, but Madison, even though
Yeah.
it's not new, I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and the library is to die for. I know she doesn't want ODE there.
I welcome any and all visitors to Madison School.
I'm like,
Especially
that,
ODEs. Bree has taken ODE to Madison many
Okay,
times. So.
because I'm like,
She's very proud.
good. I'm just saying, that's a beautiful school too.
It is, it's wonderful. I would like to show her all of our schools, but
Yes.
they asked me to
Pick one.
pick one.
Pick one, yes. I
That
agree.
complimented, they wanted to go to North Bend High School, but was at the other end, so.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so next.
I would like to, I know this issue of behavior in the classroom
Mhm.
is a big one that we need to focus on.
Mhm.
I really would like to focus on absenteeism also.
Mhm.
This whole, I mean, I look at these numbers of kids that are out, and then at the site committee meeting, a parent blithely said, well, we're a vacation family. You know, you mean if my kid misses more than 17 days, that's not very many. We go on vacations. And my mouth just dropped. It's like, how do you train parents that there's a priority? I think it's something we need to look at as a major issue, because attendance, you know, when we're looking at 46% of kids not showing up,
We got the expert right here.
I was gonna
That's
say,
her
I
job.
would love to have a conversation with you at some time. I am one of the 4 attendance advocates in our school district, and I think this is my 7th year doing that. So I was here pre-COVID and through COVID and after COVID. You do hear that vacation thing a lot, but those are not our kids that are chronically absent at the end of the school year. And I also believe that you gain a lot of education through experiences.
You can
Yes.
gain a lot.
Typically, those are not our families that are missing more than 10% of school by the end of the school year. Those families are the ones that know that they have about 17 days, and they are watching it and they are aware. A lot of times it is families that are experiencing life circumstances that need more supports and concrete supports, and our community is slowly building some of those supports. I know there's a wonderful partnership that Carly has with Ann Simon that they are trying to start at Madison. We offer what we can through the ARC and our homeless liaison. There's times when sometimes Ann Rodriguez, who's the attendance advocate for Melacoma and Sunset, her and I will access community food cabinets and we will take food. We have families living in their vans that do not have transportation because now that van is broken down and they're out too far to even walk to a grocery store. So we will offer a ride so they can participate in programming. We have families who are experiencing addiction issues and they are doing the best they can with what they have. And we also have some families who love their children a lot. And just because the way that they maybe parent and the different skill set they have is different than us doesn't mean that they love their children less or that they don't deserve to be parents. They just need us to help them build those skills because we're asking them to meet our expectations when maybe they didn't grow up in an environment like we did. And so I think it's a very layered issue. And I think that I know one of the things that we've talked about in our district-wide meetings and stuff is that parent education coming out of COVID, of teaching them, when is sick too sick? At the beginning of the school year this year, we made sure that we have little magnet calendars that go in the fridge. And we were able to purchase enough magnets for every single family in our district. They got that along with a flyer with our advocate information. And on the back side was when is sick too sick? And then this year for, what is it that's happening this
Conferences.
Conferences. We are doing another education round. We sent out letters to families explaining that unexcused absences, you actually have to call us every day. We don't remember that you called us on Tuesday that your child was sick. We don't remember Wednesday. Oh, I should see if they're still sick and, you know, in the front office. And so it's just kind of that parent and community education because, you know, it's not something you know. My son, when he was in kindergarten, was chronically absent. I let him miss school every single Thursday. My other half had a job that only had Thursdays off of work, and it was the only time he got to see the father figure in his life. I had no idea when I took this job and he was going into first grade that chronic absenteeism had such an effect. And I always wonder if that's why maybe he struggles a little bit in some departments, is because he was chronically absent, because I let him skip almost every Thursday when he was in kindergarten. And I had no clue. And I grew up with parents in education. I was just ignorant to the fact that that plays a huge role and needed to be educated. And luckily I had that opportunity. And so I think it's just super important that instead of judgment and shame on our families, that we're lifting and wrapping. And so I think that's a big piece of it.
I fully understand all of that. I just want that to be a focus of ours to support whatever efforts the
Yeah.
district needs to get our attendance back up to where we'd like to see it.
It definitely took a huge hit with COVID. The patterns I've seen this year too is, for example, like immune systems are pretty down. Even staff are struggling. I have noticed that even some staff right now, if you've missed more than 5 days, you're missing 10% of school. You are now not a regular attender, but you are chronically absent. And so, you know, unfortunately, in the first 3 weeks of school, there was a virus that went around that kids were typically out. We saw about 4 to 8 days, and we normally never have seen that trending in September, you know? And so I think there's a lot of, just like I said, layers that are into play. And I absolutely agree that attendance is super important, because we can't teach the children if they're not there.
That's right.
Great.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I am sorry to.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
You and me, man. The world. I just love that. Everything you just said was amazing. It's right on. And I've experienced a lot of what you've just talked about with families. So it's amazing. And I love that we're going to focus on that, whatever you need. And thank you. Thank you so much for what you do. It means a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely a team of us, and we are extremely blessed on being super supported by our building administrators. And sorry, Floyd, to call you out, but for example,
He's gone.
He left.
She'll comment.
Yeah, I'll call him out. You know, right now we don't have a homeless liaison. The job is still posted, and Melinda's been trying to fill in for that. And I've been providing a lot of rides. A lot of times Melinda's out at like 6 o'clock in the morning. There are times when I've been out in like Hauser at 6:30 at night getting kids home from activities or whatever. And we ran into a position where we didn't have anybody to provide a ride to students that not just attend junior high, but 3 different schools. Floyd got up in the morning, he drove out to North Bay, he picked up these students and made sure that they got to Eastside, to Melacoma, and the junior high. And the student, and I shared this with him, the student told me when I gave them a ride home that evening that they were so excited that their principal came and picked them up, and that he must care about them an awful lot to take the time to come and get them. And I think it's super important to recognize it's those little things that really matter and make such a huge impact on the kids that probably need it the most.
Absolutely. Gary's walking kids home.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it'll stay with him
Eli,
too.
I mean, yeah, it's going above and beyond. Thank you all. I mean, Floyd, we were gonna call you a name, but you're not here, so we'll just call you amazing. So, thank you for that. All right, board member highlights. Who would like to go?
Went to a conference.
Yeah.
It was very nice. Didn't get a whole lot of other things done this month. And I'm going to a dinner this weekend.
Yes.
So that'll be nice,
Yeah.
for our athletic stuff. But it was a really great conference. It's always great to be there with other board members to get to know people at a deeper level, which is helpful. Good conversations taking place, and you find out that there's a lot of things going on that are the same all over the state. So that's always helpful. So yeah, it was good. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I went to a site council meeting at the high school where the focus, I think, is going to be on developing a mission statement this year for the high school. They don't currently have one. And so Eli asked participants at the meeting to go over words that they associated with the school and things. And he's going to work up something, I think, a draft for our next meeting. It was sort of interesting. But it was nice to hear the words that were coming out of people's mouths. They were all very positive. Nobody said anything negative, and I was expecting one smart ass to throw out something, and they never did, so. And I also went to and a number of you did, to the legislative updates,
Yeah,
the legislative road shows at,
ESD.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I was at the the annual conference as well as the regional meeting, the legislative roadshow. Both of those, there was a lot of discussion. OSBA is, and we have a thing to vote for. I don't know if that's tonight or if that's going to be later. They're trying to start a rural caucus for smaller school districts, smaller schools. There was some debate as to whether our district actually qualifies for that, based on the rules that they set out. And it's possible that we're like just beyond the limit, but North Bend would qualify or vice versa. And there's a process to kind of challenge that. I think if we decided that we would like to be part of the rural small schools group, that probably wouldn't be an issue, because I know we do share a lot of the same challenges as some of the other schools in our region. And aside from that, I did go to I don't remember if we talked about this before, the school lunch week, and participated in that over at Eastside. And it was really cool to see all the different school groups coming in. And as you know, everybody does lunch in shifts, so a group of kiddos will come in, and sometimes it's a really small group of kiddos, and sometimes it's a much larger group of kiddos. But it was great to see how everything was handled, and all the things that everyone does to kind of get cleaned up in between and get it ready for the next set of students who are coming in to have their lunch. So they did an amazing job with that, and I know they do that every day, multiple times a day.
Anyone else?
I did the national school lunch thing too. It's impressive, like how many kids they get through. They shut it down, then the next kids come through. It's pretty impressive, and the kids were impressive too. They were really at the junior high. They were all really well behaved, very inquisitive. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Like I really liked hanging out with the kiddos. So yeah.
Probably don't get to open as many milk containers at the junior high.
Yeah, no, people had their laptops out with blocks and or whatever, but yeah, I loved it. It was neat.
Anyone else? I got to hang out with Gary, and so that was a highlight. And then I went to Madison for their lunches. Lunch Ladyland. They were amazing, and I had 2 lunches because I was hungry.
Glutton.
I did, and then the students were like, "You can't have 2 lunches."
You're a bad influence. Yeah.
I was like, "Well, this body is a lot bigger than yours, and I love egg salad sandwiches. I don't see anybody else having them." So the kids were great. They're so fun and inquisitive. I opened a lot of milks, cleaned up a lot of spills, got to sit next to a student that was kind of just like slinking under the table and then jumping up and doing some stuff and messing with the kid next to him. And I'm running over and I'm like, I want to sit next to this kid because he's amazing. But I wouldn't want to be this teacher. But they're so fun. They were great and asked all kinds of questions. I got to know a lot of them and what they like to do for fun. And it was a wonderful opportunity. And I do have to shout out to the lunch ladies. I mean, so kind, and they're cleaning up messes. Our janitors, I mean, I had a really long conversation with the janitor, and, you know, how, you know, this janitor that had, you know, been working quite excessively because another janitor had been out, and how they just fill in for each other and everybody comes together. And that was really nice. And how messy the lunch is. Were you at Eastside? Because all the little ones, I mean, just everywhere, all over their bodies and faces. And I think it was picture day because they all had little dresses on and their hair were all done. He's got everything. We got pictures. So it was really cute. Yeah, I got to do a lot of fun stuff over this last month. Oh, the concert. Did anybody, Kylie belted out, was it Sia?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like in the audience just sobbing. I'm like, listen, she's the one that did the opera from our deal from last year. I was screaming, you go, girl. I was the one yelling in the back, if you guys heard me. I just couldn't contain my excitement for her. And the choir, they just continue to improve. My daughter still struggles, but I can hear her. She's out there trying her best.
And she's having a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she is. So, I don't know, our schools are so impressive, and just being around other school districts and hearing some things that are going on, and especially with boards around the state of Oregon, I'm just so thankful for all of my board members.
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah, until I'm not, and then I'll let
That's
you
right.
know. No.
Yeah.
But it's great. Okay. Anyone else? All right, facilities update. Kevin.
All right. So the facilities committee's been reviewing traffic issues around Lunar Crest and East Side, and they're being addressed. We've got, we're in the final stages of the draft facilities assessment, and our softball facility plan is near complete. And then also the committee is ready for Joe Slack to come to the board and present to you guys. And then also, so we'll have to talk to David about getting that on the next agenda for Joe Slack. And then we talked about having the IT department moving over to the facilities building. And then also our next facilities committee meeting is tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning.
9 o'clock? That's later than it used to be.
We could make it earlier though.
But then I drop off the committee.
How does IT feel about moving over to facilities? Is there enough?
Yeah,
space
yeah.
and-
It started out with Brian down at facilities and IT talking
Okay.
and coming up with this plan that it'd be a good location for them to be and not have to get moved around a lot.
Where's facilities at?
Down by the bus barn.
In Empire?
Yeah, it's a street behind
They
them.
have a nice view in the one room they would have out towards the bay.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it big?
Yeah,
It's big.
A lot of security?
will be.
Okay, I was just like, you know.
Usually just
IT's
a one-lock
there.
door out front.
Yeah.
IT there? I don't know.
All the computers will still be at Milner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's just the people.
They're in the cloud.
That's true. All right, thank you, Kevin. Any questions or comments for Kevin? And David, up for policy committee.
Sure, we can get to this. All right.
Yeah, the colorful pages.
Yeah, so I know these are not difficult to read. It's extremely difficult to get track changes on top of their track changes and not change what they had already changed and let you see the process. I'd rather just do it and have it, here's a clean one, this is the new one. Let's go with that. So everything in red, we're removing.
There's a lot of red.
There's a lot of red. There was a lot of optional sections. And the committee, we'd rather not paint ourselves into a corner if we're not obligated to have something in policy. We prefer not to.
Yep.
For the most part. So that's why a lot of those things were removed. There are things that likely we are doing a lot of them, some of them not, but aren't required by law. They're just, OSBA gives you the whole gambit and then you pick and choose like Golden Corral. So, yeah, a lot of extra language removed from that one, but the content remains the same.
one note about that.
Yes, Karis.
We had the conversation about the Wellness Advisory Committee. It is required as part of this policy. So we'll be working on resurrecting that.
Perfect.
Thank you, Karis. Without going through every update, does anyone have any questions on policy EFA?
No.
Hearing no objections, we'll move on to the next.
We went through it all.
I believe you. I believe you.
It was so exciting.
We don't,
That is one of those policies that
Yes.
is just horrible to
Yep.
read. 'cause
I
it's
know,
got
I
All
know.
the federal stuff in there
Yep.
and the state stuff.
we've been there, done that.
EHB is a cyber security policy. It's a new one from OSBA. That's why it says OSBA model sample policy and not our name at the top. So it's one that we, as a policy committee, think we should adopt. So it'll be up for adoption at the next board meeting. The complaint procedure. The yellow is what we're keeping, the red is what we're taking away. A lot of it, they give you options, so a lot of it is just what choice we made, so that you can see what the committee's thinking was. We actually decided to go with, what happens sometimes, I think with policies, is OSBA will send an update that will have certain language updated, and we'll choose, A instead of B. And the next update, they'll assume we chose A, and so these policies get kind of hegemonic, where they're going off in all sorts of directions, and that's really where our complaint policy seemed like it was. There were some things that didn't add up. So we reverted back to the OSBA model sample policy and are going with that whole cloth. And these are just the selections we made from that policy. Rather than trying to fit in everything that they recommended into our new policy, making it further distorted, we decided to just go with their policy, and then the next updates will be much easier, and it will be in line with the law, in line with our practice. So one thing we did add in the complaint form is subject of the complaint. So where the complaint.
Right, saw that.
So yeah, so we needed that line in there. That wasn't an OSBA recommendation, that was just something we noticed could be an added benefit. So yeah, that's it for, and any questions?
Nope.
Wonderful, and they'll be up for adoption at the next board meeting in December.
I want it noted that I did write my first word of the evening, and that was hegemonic. So I will be Googling that later,
Okay,
but
I hope I used it correctly.
but I do like that word. I was
It's a
like,
good
"Ooh,
word, huh?
yes, it is. I'm gonna be using it in seven
That's like
different times.
plethora.
Oh, I love plethora. It's perfect.
One other thing I do want to note while we're on the policy topic is I didn't notice until I was looking at our agenda for tonight's meeting that I have policy scheduled for Thanksgiving. I'm not going to do it on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I won't be on
So,
Thanksgiving.
unless someone's cooking, then I would consider it. Otherwise, so we'll be changing that one likely to the following week.
Thank you.
So just so you're aware, I'll say that out.
So our action items to consider. Just want to look here at our budget committee member one, which is B, because I've noticed that we've had probably maybe online as well, folks waiting for that time through this entire meeting. Are they, are we going to have them speak? What was that piece?
So at the last data meeting, you had asked, the board, not you personally.
Okay.
The board had asked me to see if the nominees for the budget committee would be available to come to this meeting so that you may ask them your questions. Danny, I believe is back there, replied that he was able to make it, and here he is. One of the other nominees was originally going to be here, and I just found out today that she had her current job pulled her away and she wasn't able to be here. She was meeting with NASA, so it seemed
Oh, what?
Yeah.
it seemed important, so I didn't push.
Might take precedent. And then do we have anyone online for that position?
We do not.
Okay. I want to apologize that you had to sit through that whole entire meeting, but it is good practice for the budget committee meetings. But they are not that long and there are not that many of them. There's like 4, right?
But sometimes you go from
3.
budget committee to board member, so it's a good plan.
Yeah, we're a good example. So you might become a board member. All right, so we'll start with A and then quickly get to B. Our first action item is amendment of the first student contract.
Okay, so just to give you a little background, First Student negotiated a new contract with their employees this summer. And the bus drivers, they received a considerable hourly increase. And with the First Student was very interested in doing that because we're having bus driver shortages and wanted to offer more competitive wages. They approached Marina and I about an amendment to the contract. They wanted to change the rates, to increase the rates to help offset their increased salary. We declined because we're in the middle of the contract. It ends 2025. But they came back to us with another request that will help them with some cost savings. They would like to delay the purchase of the Type 20 buses for 1 year. In our contract, I believe it's every 8 years, they have to purchase a new vehicle. And these are the Type 20 or the 15-person passenger vans. The ones that are up that they bought in 2015, they're up to purchase, all have pretty low mileage. I think because of COVID, they just weren't used as much. So the highest mileage one has 62,534 miles. The other ones, it goes down, the range is 53,000. So it ranges from 53 to 62,000. I have more miles on my car and I've only had it for 2 years. So, so we thought it was reasonable. They are asking for a contract amendment for 1 year to delay purchasing these new vans. And Marie and I discussed it. We thought that was reasonable because these are low mileage. I mean, that isn't very high mileage at all. So, they're asking, and that'll help with their costs. And so we're asking the board to consider whether or not it would be okay to allow them to delay a year purchasing these new vans.
Are they vans or the buses? Because at first it was buses and then it was.
They're small.
They're small buses.
Small buses that hold up to 15 passengers.
Okay.
Yeah, they're interchangeable, sorry. They're interchangeable. So they're small buses in the contract. But I think we all district-wide refer to them as just like the Type 20s.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Thank you for that.
And there's nothing unsafe about them.
No, it's purely, we have it in our contract to replace every 8 years, but ODE does not require it to be that often. So they just ask that we extend it the 1 year.
All right, so do I have a motion on
I
the
will
floor?
move that
Thank
we
you.
accept the proposed amendment to allow First Student to postpone the buying of Type 20 vans for 1 year.
Thank you so much.
Second.
Thank you, Addie. Any discussion? All right, let's take a vote. Kevin?
Aye.
Arnie?
Aye.
Adrian?
Aye.
Addie?
Aye.
Diane?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion carries. All right, now we're up for the long anticipated wait. So.
Are you sure you want to do this?
So Danny, could you?
Do you want me to come up?
Yeah, could you come up and introduce yourself?
Okay, well, I'll keep it short so that it's bedtime, right?
There you
Yeah, it is. I'm starving.
And she got two lunches the other day.
Yeah, that should hold
You
you.
know that about me.
Okay, so hello, my name is Danny Stoddard, and I am here to be considered to be appointed to the Budget Committee. So thank you for your consideration for that, for your committee, for your school board.
Thank you. And then you are also serving in another committee of ours.
Yes. So I'm on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and so I've been on that for probably about 8 months now, 6 to 8 months since it's been implemented.
as part of the school board and subcommittee. And that's been an interesting process. And I helped out as part of that with the strategic plan. And that was a very fun to help out. And so it's been fun to be a part of helping out the community. My son is grown, so I don't have a child in the school district, but he did graduate from Marshfield. I graduated from Marshfield, but I have nieces and nephews who go to the schools within the school district. So that's my buy-in, and that's my commitment, and why I have that interest as a member of our community. So that's why I even though I don't have children still in the school district, that's why I still am as committed as ever to want to be a part of the community and contribute. So.
Thank you so much.
Even people who've never had kids in the district should want to participate. So.
Yep. So, anyone have any questions for Danny?
I'm glad you're here. I mean.
I know this has got to be awkward. One person's your boss and one person's your employee. You probably didn't even think about
And my former principal, and my former teachers, and my former boss on the screen over here. I mean, it's a small town, so it's okay.
So
I'll answer for all my sins. Come on now. This is my judgment day, and I'm a little bit tired.
Danny's being shy. I just want to say he's brilliant. He definitely has a good eye for numbers and budgets, and I probably shouldn't vote if we vote tonight, but I do just want to compliment that he is brilliant and he has a good eye, and he's definitely dedicated, and yeah.
And he is your supervisor.
And he is my boss.
Oh, stop.
He is my boss. So
Well,
I'm very
Where do you work?
complimentary of him.
I work at Star of Hope, so so to take it away from the compliments, I'll just offer really quick
They're sincere. They
that
are very sincere.
that I just have a desire to want to help my community. I believe that education is the we've listened tonight, our friend over here, I don't know what your name is, but she spoke very eloquently about some of the problems in our community and and she spoke about the layers, and she spoke very eloquently about the need that we all have to address the problems that are within our community. And I feel that same passion. And so that's why for me, even though my son is raised, I still feel the need to want to use the skills I have to want to help our community. So as Diane said, numbers are something I'm good at. That's what my education is in. And so this is a way that I feel like I can still contribute. So
Absolutely. And not to take away from your,
My compliments.
compliments at all,
to
because
go, come on.
you are amazing.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I believe
You're
he
embarrassing
is
in this.
one of the most.
We need
brilliant people I've ever met.
objective opinion. How about my principal weighs in?
Stays in the school.
Okay.
None of these comments count unless you get a raise in your job.
Oh,
so.
okay, Diane.
Can I just add? a couple
Absolutely.
things? So, by next year, the budget committee needs to have an
Yes.
equity committee representative by law. So we have a year, so the board would have flexibility, but it would be nice, if the board wanted to check that one off the compliance list. Danny has been amazing. He was also the liaison from the equity committee on the strategic planning committee. And he's made really invaluable contributions. He understands the strategic plan. He helped create it and write it. And I just want to say a personal, one of my observations, we have some student representatives on the equity committee, and he is amazing with student voice and getting the students to talk and participate, and you're wonderful on the equity committee. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. I appreciate that.
I couldn't think of a better person. I want you to be on the school board.
Oh, I know, can't do that, but thank you.
You live in North Bend still?
What's that?
Do you live in North
No, I
Bend?
live in Coos Bay,
Okay,
but I can only do so much. I can only do so much.
at some point. Anyways.
Okay,
Equity
well,
and inclusion.
after you're on the budget
I
committee,
can do the budget committee.
I can tell you it's a normal transition.
I will support you all in your work.
She was the chair of the budget committee.
See, budget committee board, it's the way it goes.
I will support you all in your work. Well, there's something else I do for the community that I'm very committed to, that's my primary volunteer role. And so then that,
It's only 3 meetings.
what's that?
It's only 3 meetings. You'll be
The
good.
budget committee, yes, I can do that.
Yes.
So,
Okay,
yes.
so, up next on our action items is to appoint budget committee member to position 1. We have 3 applications. Do I have a motion to appoint someone?
Having read all the applications, I found them all very good candidates. All would serve a
Absolutely, yeah.
very admirably in this role. But I'll nominate Danny Stoddard.
I have a nomination.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
And I want to second the statements. The other 2 were impressive. I was impressed with all 3.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes to get anybody to come
I know.
forward to go for a deal, and to get 3 really quality people was amazing. I'm just really pleased with that, but yeah.
I agree. I think they were all great. I mean, one's like going up on a rocket right now. I mean, probably finding the way to Mars or something. So we typically don't have much interest in this. And we're usually calling people saying, hey, come on in here. And now this is a really nice problem to have.
Yeah.
So we have a first and a second on the floor. Is there any other discussion?
I want to say, knowing some of the people who've been on our budget committee, they've been on our budget committee for a fairly long time, and it wouldn't be surprised if we have openings in the near future.
Yeah.
So we should
Yes.
definitely keep the other 2 candidates in mind and contact them.
We're gonna,
Should there be other
Yes,
additional
openings.
openings?
That is smart. David, did you write that down? I'm just-
Yes, I'll draft a letter and send it to you guys tomorrow.
Awesome, thank you. All right, let's do a vote. Kevin?
Aye.
Barney?
Aye.
Adrian?
Aye.
Diane? Addie?
Aye.
And myself, I vote aye. It's unanimous. Thank you so much for serving on our board of directors budget committee.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you for staying all night.
Sure.
I apologize.
No, thank you so much.
Yes,
So
Okay.
Were you around the same time as Lance Nelson?
yes.
I think you're about the same age, because he's the head of the Waterfall Clinic.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
So it's kind of like, it's fun to watch a few days.
Yeah,
He was during like a little, you were.
I was 93, class of
Yeah.
93.
Like you're a little
Okay.
bit younger than me.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
that was.
Yep. Okay, so our next action item is postpone math adoption by 1 year. Chad spoke to this. Do we have a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Thank you, Addie. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Diane. Any discussion on this? All right, let's start over here. Diane?
Aye.
Addie?
Aye.
Arnie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Adrian? Just
Aye.
keeping you on your toes. Aye as well. Motion carries. And vote on OSBA Legislative Policy Committee.
Okay. So, I sent you guys in advance some of this
Yes.
information. I hope you had a chance to look it over. So there's basically, I'm not gonna go into everything that they changed, but I'll tell you what you'll be voting on. Board of Directors, position number 9. Oh, never mind, there's no election this year. I should read that part. So Legislative Policy Committee, position 9. Your choice is to vote for Tom Chanez of Glendale, abstain, or not take any action. There's only one candidate. He had no information posted. Some of them did, had a kind of a little cameo about themselves. He did not, so we don't know much about Tom. Sure, he's a great guy. He wants to serve on this committee that no one on our board wanted to, so.
I did ask at OSBA where we could find more information about him, and they did say it was posted on the website.
Tom's was not.
Yes, okay,
There were, like I said, there were others that were posted, because I wanted to make sure I was looking in the right spot. but
right,
Tom's wasn't as of when I sent it to you, but
Okay.
it could be on there now.
okay.
Then, oh, no, I'm sorry. Then, you'll be voting on resolution number 1, which creates Adrian spoke to this earlier, the Oregon Rural School Board Members Caucus, and designate a seat on the OSBA Board of Directors and Legislative Policy Committee. And then resolution 2 adopts the proposed amendments to the OSBA bylaws. And again, that's what I had sent you via email, but the crosswalk of OSBA proposed bylaws is in your packet, starting on page 44. But again, that's why I said it in advance, because there's a lot to go through there.
Yes, thank you.
And it is, if I remember,
It would be really awkward for OSBA if we adopted the changes to the bylaws and decided not to start a rural schools. caucus.
No, putting the cart before the horse though.
and
Okay,
I can't remember the exact date, but this is your last, unless you guys saw it, email me individually tomorrow.
okay, yes, no.
It has to be done this week, so this is gonna be your
This
last
is-
opportunity.
This is
but-
it. All right, we'll take them one at a time. Let's start with LPC position 9. Do we have a motion?
I'll move, we vote for Tom Chavez.
Second?
Shannon.
Shanez, yeah.
Shannon.
I just looked them up. They didn't do anything exciting on their school board,
And-
nothing,
Right.
you know.
Anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay,
I beat you.
Kevin
Kevin?
can.
Yeah.
Kevin, all right, any other discussion or questions?
No, good luck, Tom.
Good luck to you. Yeah, nobody else wanted it.
Yeah,
Okay, let's do a vote. Diane? Addie?
Aye.
Adrian?
Aye.
Arnie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Kim? Aye. Okay, so we have Tom. Congratulations, Tom. And then resolution 1 creates the Oregon Rural School Board Members Caucus. And so we can have that. Do we have a motion?
No, I'll move that we vote to adopt the OSBA resolution 1 to create the Oregon Rural School Board Members Caucus.
Thank
And then they
you.
get a new board member.
Yes, that's true.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Kevin. Any discussion here? Nope. All right, let's vote. Adrian?
Aye.
Arnie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Addie?
aye.
Diane? Hi. I'm going to abstain. All right, so resolution 2 adopts the proposed amendments to the OSBA bylaws. Motion? Anyone?
I'll move that we adopt new changes to bylaw.
Thank you. Do we have a-
Second,
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, let's do a vote. Diane? Aye. Addie?
aye.
I vote aye as well. Adrian?
Aye.
Arnie?
Aye.
Must
Thank
be
you.
after 8 o'clock.
Yes, it is. You know, it's starting to go downhill. Motion carries. And that concludes, I believe that's everything on our agenda.
Move be adjourned.
Thank you so much. Let's adjourn. Good night. And thank you for everyone that stayed the
Yes, thank you.
entirety of
Thank
this meeting.
You know, those aren't the most comfortable chairs.
Bree, don't just move it around.
Just be glad they're full size.
Yeah, I was thinking I should have brought my wobble.
Forward.